If anybody in the audience would like to speak, they can fill out a slip in the back and bring it down to this beautiful young lady over here in the corner. And if you have a phone, if you could please put it in the silent mode, we really appreciate that. With that, we can call the meeting to order, and we'll ask Aaron Wolf, who decided not to sit with us, do our pledge.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, Chris, can we get a roll call?
I'll be doing the roll call since Chris does not have a microphone over there, but we'll.
okay.
Actually, since everyone's here, we don't need to do the roll
We
call.
could put Aaron over in the corner.
Yeah, I'll just raise my hand.
But since everyone is physically present, we don't need to do the roll call since we can all hear the
Okay.
voices and correspond with that. So.
Good, okay. Okay, with that, the public comments?
We have no public comments on items not on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And the consent is in to get approval. Anybody have any issues with any of the items on the agenda?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All in favor then. Let's move to, I guess, the first order is, are we doing, Ben, are you handling that pause mission?
Yes, I will be. So this
Is that going
is-
to be the first issue then? Okay.
Yep, so we'll open up the public hearing for our old business, which is the pause mission, case number 17073, conditional use permit to establish a commercial cattery at 13229 7th Place. This is a continuance of a public hearing from November 4th, 2020. Just for kind of purposes of those in the audience and for the Planning Commission to refresh everyone, the proposed project is at 13229 7th Place within the city's RL 2.5 land use designation. It's currently just under 5 acres of a total site, and then it does feature a current residence and then the unpermitted rescue. As noted before, the project was initially reviewed at the November 4th, 2020 Planning Commission hearing. The Planning Commissioners had several different questions regarding kind of the operations and the animal enclosures, and then also some questions about landscape and fence buffers that they wanted to ask the applicant, who was unfortunately not able to be present at that meeting. And so the Planning Commission ultimately voted to continue the item to this meeting so that they can discuss with the applicant those outstanding elements. And so the applicant is here tonight to help address those questions and answer any relevant questions for their operation. Stan noted before, the site is in this area for where the existing kind of unpermitted cattery facilities would be removed. They're currently located along the north end of the site, and so those will be demolished since it would be very hard for those to meet the building code requirements. And instead, the applicant proposes to construct the cattery facility along the southern side of the site. And then they would also provide a total of 10 parking spaces to serve those visiting the cattery, so the rescue volunteers as well as any staff. And then the existing residents on the property would also remain, and that would serve for kind of the caretaker of the cattery. And then several different structures are proposed to support the cattery operations, including a prefabricated metal barn facility as a primary cattery facility, and then additional structures for the cats. And as part of the use, they do propose on their site plan a maximum of 125 cats, and 10 dons would be the maximum occupancy for that rescue facility. And then provided in the packet, as well as on the PowerPoint, is the elevation showing the proposed structures that would be constructed. That they would all be painted to match each other, so it would be a very consistent color theme to help tie those buildings together. As kind of noted before, when the project was first routed out, there were 2 comment letters received in support of the facility. And then there was one letter of concern regarding the unpermitted structures and their location. However, that issue is been addressed by the demolition of those structures that are encroaching into the setback and then the building of the new ones instead. And then some site photos showing the property both on 6th Street and then along on 7th Place. And with that, staff does recommend approval of the project. Happy to answer any questions. And then as noted before, the applicant is present to help answer questions as well.
Okay, with that, anyone have any questions for staff at this time? None, okay, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Hi there, good evening. My name's Jessica Lopez. I'm the Executive Director for the PAW Mission. As you can see, we have very grand plans for this facility to house a lot of our rescue cats. I have printed a nice little pamphlet for you guys if you guys would like to view it. That's just an overview of the PAW Mission, our missions, the animals that we actually target, and our total volume overall.
Thank you.
So we started the PAW Mission in 2017, in July of 2017, and our initial goal was to target the most at-risk animals in the municipal city shelters. So that belongs to feral cats, neonatal kittens, and medical dogs and cats. To date, we've saved over 3,000 animals in that direct section of animal populations within the shelters. Our most popular program is hands down our Rodent Ranger Cat program. That is where we place feral cats into working homes, ranches, barns, facilities of such that have rodent issues. And they go there as humane rodent control, and they kind of just take care of farms. With that program, we are now, as of 2020, averaging between 450 to 500 cats being placed annually. Our other programs also include a neonatal kitten foster and nursery program that we have here on site. Most of our cats, about 85% of our kittens, actually go out into foster, so they're not actually on site. This kitten season in 2020, we've had over 500 kittens pulled from municipal shelters. Due to COVID, a lot of things changed within the city structures, and they were actually not taking in any healthy cats or kittens during a period of time. And so during that time, we actually took in a significant portion of cats coming from the community surrounding Yucaipa as well as Yucaipa. We also have just recently been given a premise license so that way we can do veterinary services out in the public. We are a nonprofit, and our goal is to provide accessible and affordable veterinary care to families in the area. And so with the premise license, we are actually going to be starting up, coming 2021, low-cost vaccine clinics and wellness clinics for the public. These are going to be mobile, so they're not going to be on-site. We're not going to have very much on-site. Mobile units tend to bring in about 8,000 clients per vehicle or per station, so to speak. So our first year, our goal is to have about 12,000 people served, animals served, and taken care of through our mobile services.
Are your mobile services just the vaccine clinics, or are you saying that you're doing spay and neuter?
So we haven't done spay and neuter quite yet. That is one of our goals. When we first started PAW Mission, my goal was actually to have a high-quality, high-volume spay and neuter clinic in 2020. Everything kind of shifted when this property was kind of put in front of us, and we were given this opportunity to kind of utilize it. So our plans kind of shifted around. My goal is mid-2021, probably between second and third quarter to have a high-volume, high-quality spay-neuter clinic functioning to serve San Bernardino and Riverside counties.
And that would be a mobile unit, you mean?
Ideally mobile. If not mobile, then to have a facility like a medical building where we can actually coordinate transport for lower income neighborhoods.
Well, one of the questions that I had was the kind of, because of the CUP, is the parking adequate? Now, if you, down the road, if you start doing those things, your parking may not be adequate for all of your volunteers and the people to be necessary for that kind of program.
Well,
Do
ideally,
you have a plan?
yes.
For
So
that?
ideally, we're not going to have a veterinary clinic on site. I don't want that to be there. Mainly because we pull in a lot of animals from the municipal shelters, and oftentimes they're sick. And
Right.
so we don't want any public animals on site. This is strictly for us to rehabilitate, medicate, make sure that these animals are healthy enough to get adopted. And when we open up a high-volume spay-neuter clinic or wellness clinic, that's going to be off-site and just a secondary location for us.
Okay.
How many volunteers do you normally expect to have on an average day?
So depending on a couple of things, we plan a maximum of 125. My target is to have 75 cats on site. So I don't plan to have a whole bunch of animals there. So I believe at any given time, we're probably going to be in the range of between 5 to 6, mainly because we're able to stagger our volunteers throughout the day. We won't have enough animals for everybody to be kind of with all at the same time, and we won't have too many tasks that our staff don't already kind of tackle. So the biggest areas that we're going to need volunteers to be like laundry, which could be managed by one person, cleaning of kennels, like cat carriers and stuff. So we don't need a significant amount of volunteers on site.
Well, for socialization of the cats, I would think that might take the most volunteers.
And that definitely is part of it, but that's where we definitely have to stagger volunteers the most. You would be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't. A lot of people actually just want to socialize versus clean. So we have to stagger them already, we do, mainly because we need a little bit more help in other areas. And truth be told, our length of stay is pretty short, that once they get out of our medical unit where they are coming in sick,
And quarantine, yeah.
and quarantine. So during that time, we don't have the public really interacting with them, only staff. But our length of stay is roughly about 40 days. So after about 2 to 3 weeks inside medical, it's a pretty quick turnaround for them to get adopted and find their homes.
Just so that your employees and volunteers understand that this is not a commercial area, so parking on the street is probably not a good idea with the other homes there, so as long as they're on site, they have
Right.
to park on site.
Okay.
I wasn't here last week, but in reviewing the minutes, apparently there were some concerns about the air circulation and some shrubbery from the last planning commission meeting. Do you have anything to address the commission on that?
So I'll speak for a moment about it, but Jerry, who's our chairman of the board, will talk about construction feasibility. As far as what we're looking at for operations-wise, all of our enclosures are going to be indoor-outdoor enclosures, so I'm not too worried about ventilation because they're going to be basically outdoors. We're going to have a door that allows cats to go in and out, close them when it gets too cold, close them, and have air conditioning when it gets way too hot. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty good airflow for all the cats involved.
Yes, as far as air conditioning, we are planning to have central air in each, well, the main barn, the big one, and then the medical room, which is the larger rectangle one. But like she mentioned before, it's open to the outside, so most cats stay outside. It's just when it gets cold or really hot, they'll come inside, but there's central air, so it will be ventilated. And as far as shrubberies, we're trying to keep a low maintenance kind of site, but there's no issue with adding landscaping. That wasn't the plans once we had the funding for it, but definitely if we need to add it, there's no issue with that.
Okay, great.
Well, the other problem or condition that we were talking about was the fencing that separates your property from the backyards of the neighbors. Most of projects that come in that are in a residential kind of area, we are asking applicants, which is one of the other things we wanted to ask you about, was the feasibility of putting in some solid fencing along those backyards. And a couple of concerns, but of course, one is just you need the barrier so that they don't have to look from their backyard at your buildings. And if a dog gets out or something like that, they would be within your facility.
Yeah, so currently we have the houses that are next door, they have wood fencing on their end, most do. And then we have a chain link fence. Don't have it on the plan, but we could add, I prefer to put wood or something that's less expensive. But we could basically put a barrier on our end, kind of what they have on their end, just to kind of clean it up a bit. I was concerned just because they do have dogs and they can bark every day, so I agree with that.
Yeah, it's having some kind of screening. So that was the other question about the shrubbery, was whether or not we could just screen that with planting or with a fence, one or the other, which would probably be helpful for everyone. If you're going to have dogs at your facility as well, and your neighbors have dogs. So
Correct, yeah, I agree.
would you be opposed to either of those conditions? Is it something that you don't want the shrubbery, you'd rather have a fencing, or what?
I think fencing is less maintenance, so I would rather do fencing than shrubberies.
Okay.
You could try rosemary, man. I'm not doing any maintenance and they grow like crazy. You just gotta cut it out. They smell good too. So bless your hearts. I think it's a great cause. And obviously, you know, some of the conditions that the commission has requested, if you guys can be on top of that, just out of consideration for the neighbors, and it sounds great.
And do you have a separate receptacle of some sort for the animal waste, or?
So, yeah, so currently we're hiring a third party to basically clean up. Everything gets dumped in the bin. And it's basically, once this gets approved, if it gets approved, it's basically a commercial container that they come and pick up whenever we call it in. So usually every 3 days or so we call it in and they pick it up.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Are you subject, are your operations subject to regulation by any other agencies? County, state?
No, you can answer that for medical, but no.
Because we do have a premise license, we are subject to inspection with the California Veterinary Medical Association or Board. And so they are able to come view our medical site on site, even if it is not going to be open to the public. We are also, while in California there are not any kind of regulatory kind of requirements for catteries, we are subject to inspection through the County of San Bernardino.
By what agency, do you know?
Animal control.
All right. Thank you.
Does that go for the kennel as well?
Yes.
The dog kennel?
Yes, and I want to explain about the dogs as well. These are going to be more medical dogs. We don't really keep too many. If you follow us on social media or anything, you'll see most of our medical dogs. We don't have a whole bunch on hand. It's just like dogs with a broken leg, embedded collars, something of that sort. So they're not going to be on site for the majority of the time.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comments on this, Ben?
Yes, we have one comment from Robert Rentschler.
Could you please state your name and address for our records, please?
Yes, Robert Rentschler, 33868 Golden Crown Way in Chapman Heights.
Thank you.
I've been volunteering with the current entity for a year and the preceding entity that merged with it for 3 years, so for a total of 4. I would urge your favorable vote on this request for a conditional use permit. It's a wonderful job that's being done. We're averaging 10 to 15 cats per week that are being found homes, cats that otherwise would have been euthanized or would be running free as a feral. So would request your favorable vote.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. That it, Ben?
That is the only public comment request we received.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing and move to the commissioners. We have any discussions or any comments from the commissioners? Do we have a motion from one of our commissioners?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve and adopt the case number 17073 CUP MJB.
Are we going to add a condition
For the shrubbery
for the fence? He doesn't want the shrubs. They'd rather have a fence.
fence, I think I saw something in the literature about fencing, and if it's not in there, then yeah, we'd like to have the fencing be included to make sure that there's a buffer between the cattery and the neighbors.
Yeah, we can add a condition to place a fence, a solid fence between the cattery operation and the residences west of that site.
Thank you.
With that condition, I make a motion to approve case number 17073 CUPMJB.
Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just a point of order before we go to subject number 3, if we could go back to approving the minutes. I think we skipped.
Yes, I
the
know we
minutes.
I moved over that.
We're so excited that we're all here, we just skipped over the minutes.
The consent item was the minute, so that's the only item. So that was approved as part of the consent agenda.
Okay, did we vote on that?
Yes, we did. Where were you?
I don't think we voted on that.
I made the motion.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't here?
Oh, no,
I
he
wasn't-
wasn't, so he can't vote.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I'm,
okay, then we'll correct, it was motion and then Chris Martarian abstained from the approval of the minutes.
correct.
Mr.
Are we
Chairman,
all good, Chris? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, I really commend the folks, this is kind of off the record, I commend the folks at the cattery, and the school teacher in me noticed a few typographical errors on your brochure, and I'm really serious when I say this speaks for you when you're not there to speak. And I don't think you want typos. So I would encourage you just to check it over, maybe have 3 or 4 friends, do their typographical word check and word spell. And it's very good, but it just needs to have the typos cleaned up, I think. But hats off to you for what you're doing. Back on the record.
Okay, with that, we'll move to our next item on the agenda, and that would be case number 19026, SUP and architectural review.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'll be presenting item number 3, which is a special use permit and architectural review to permit 3 existing horse stalls and the demolition of an existing barn on a single-family property located at 12829 14th Street. So the site, as I said, is on the northeast corner of the intersection of 14th Street and Oak Glen Creek. There's 2 parcels with 4.87 acres on the first parcel and then 2.87 on the other. The existing barn is located on the parcel to the west, and the horse stalls are located on the parcel to the east. The zoning is single-family residential with a 20,000 square foot minimum lot size, and south of the property is an existing floodway, and then surrounding uses are single-family residences. Here's the site plan. The 3 horse stalls that are existing, 2 of which are 2,915 square feet, and then the second is 4,385 square feet. And there's an existing single-family residence, which is 2,146 square feet on the property, as well as 2 garages. The size of the barn to be demolished is 2,345 square feet, and all horse stalls fit within required setbacks for the zoning district. The elevations are projected on the screen, not looking very beautiful right now. However, they're constructed of galvanized silver steel, and metal posts support the structure up top. There's a 19-foot tall peak at the height of the structures. And here are some site photos from the street view. There were no public comments received on this project, and staff recommends adoption of the special use permit findings, a categorical exemption, and the conditions of approval attached.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for staff at this time?
Is this a business?
It's a ranch home, so they have horses on the property.
Just, they're calling them motels, so I didn't know if there was
Yeah.
some kind of a.
I
Okay.
think that's just the terminology for a for a horse stall, a
Okay.
mere motel.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, would the applicant like to make a presentation? Is the applicant here?
The applicant isn't here, but the Jasmine, who prepared the plans, is present and can answer questions on behalf of the applicant.
Okay. I didn't get that. Okay, so with that, I guess we close public hearing. Unless they, oh, she is coming up?
Before she comes up, I'd like to ask the staff about the exemption that we're gonna be filing, if I can get a little more information on that.
You mean CEQA,
Yeah,
the categorical exemptions?
So given the nature of it being a small structure, it shall be exempt similar to how like ADUs are exempt through CEQA and other small additions to properties. Ben, I don't know if you have any other.
Yeah, so section 15303 covers kind of smaller structures that are added where there's not really a increase in the change of use of the property. So this being a larger lot, residence is allowed to have the keeping of animals on site, and so these structures are subordinate and accessory to that use that's permitted. And so as part of that, there's no environmental consequences that would happen with approval of this.
it gets treated the same as an ADU, basically?
ADU is a little bit different, and there's a separate CEQA exemption under state law that carves out ADUs from CEQA review, but it's kind of similar process if someone's building a small addition to a house, doing a detached garage or other structures where there isn't a substantial increase in the usage of that property that would pull it out.
But there's no setback issues or anything with this, it's just gonna be a horse stall, right?
That is correct. And there's no variances or other requirements that would have its own separate CEQA kind of analysis that could possibly go into it.
And then my understanding is it's basically a replacement of an existing barn?
So this is, I guess to clarify, so this is a existing code enforcement case, and a number of structures were built without permits, and so the existing barn is going to be demolished, and then they are going to permit, kind of after the fact, these motels, or the mayor motels, as they called it. And so the special use permit is for the design, and then they'll go through the building permit process to finalize that code enforcement citation.
Okay. All right. Lucky horses to be in California.
Okay, with that, anyone have any questions?
I had a question, Mr. Chairman. Does our code limit by square footage, or somehow the number of horses that can be maintained on a site?
There is a cap on the total number of horses that are allowed as accessory animal use. And so it's based on the lot size. You're allowed 1 per 10,000 square feet of lot area. Then I believe the cap is at 9 horses total.
Thank you.
Would anybody have a question for the applicant at all? Okay.
Are there horses already on this property?
Yes, I believe there are a few. Again, like he said, this is a code enforcement case. These mare motels, as the owner calls them, have been there probably for about 12, 15 years. And so we're just trying to go through the process of getting these approved so that he's no longer in code enforcement violation.
What's gonna happen to the horses in the process of
He
demolition?
doesn't have that many horses there right now. I think at one time it was more of a working ranch that had more horses on it, which is why there was a barn on it. We can't keep the barn, he can't keep the barn because it's too far from the street. It doesn't have paving to it, and so it's a fire department issue. So at this point, because of the 3 structures that we're calling mare motels, they're open framing, they're, like I said, they're pipe, galvanized steel. So he just wants to get those approved so that he can keep them there and do what he does with his horses.
Okay, and it's not gonna be demolished and then built. You can build it and then demolish, right? You can build the new stalls and then demolish the existing barn?
The 3 stalls that are there are just going to remain where they are. This is a 5-acre property. They're well within all setbacks. I mean, you can't even really see them from the street. As you round 14th and coming to Oakland, they're somewhat visible. But the barn structure that's being demolished is in the back, and his plan is to really, it's like, it is actually another metal structure that bolts together. And his purpose, he's gonna just probably try to sell it somehow and just remove it from the property for somebody else.
All right. Thank you.
The 3 stalls aren't, I mean, you can't even see them from the road.
No.
I couldn't see him.
I mean, I looked from every direction.
No, you can't. I mean, he's got the horse corrals that are just open
can't-
corrals
you
that you can
can't
kind
go-
of see as you turn, but you really can't even
That
see
road,
the
there's a
mare
road
motels.
along the
Yeah.
south side, but that's gated, and
Yeah,
so you can't
that's
get
his
in there.
property. Yeah, that's his property. It's,
So, I mean, it seems to me like a done deal.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else, any commissioner have any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, discussion?
You didn't
Any-
have any requests to speak, right?
No, there was no request to speak on this particular item.
No, I'll make a motion to approve case number 19026, both SUP and architectural review, and recommend, go with the staff recommendations A through D.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, next item we have is Advantage Paving, case number 19-157, of architectural review and a conditional use permit.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and Planning Commissioners. Before you is case number 19-157. It's a revision to the previously approved case number 16032. Conditional use permit to establish an outdoor construction services facility, and then the architectural review of a 5,000 square foot metal office and shop building. The subject site is located at 13343 Calamasa Boulevard within the city's community industrial land use designation, and is comprised of a 2.35 acre parcel that is currently undeveloped but does feature an existing temporary use permit for the applicant's business. And so they had submitted that concurrent with the conditional use permit, and so is allowed to operate with the TUP while this was being completed. For Planning Commission's history, at the September 21st, 2016 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission did approve case number 16032, which was for a construction storage facility originally for the applicant Mitfaden Properties. As part of that approval, it did include an on-site equipment storage, caretaker unit, and then also several covered storage structures would be also proposed or was proposed on that site. However, the original applicant and property owners' needs had changed, and so they ended up going with a different property to move their business to. And so then the current applicant ended up purchasing the property and then is pursuing this, the original CUP approval, and then making some of the revisions to accommodate their particular business needs and then the architecture review for their site. And so as part of the site plan, for commission's reference, it does allow for the on-site storage within paved areas on site. And then at the corner of Calamasa Boulevard and Avenue G is where they would propose their 5,000 square foot office and shop building. And they also do have a small above-ground fuel station to help support their equipment operations, and then also provides 25 parking spaces for their employees. And then some minor site grading would occur near where the hill is as it ramps up above there to accommodate the proposed business, consistent with the original 16032 approval as well. And then they are proposing the shop building, which is 1,700 square feet for the office space, and then the remaining area is for the maintenance area and bays for the total of 5,000 square feet. And as part of the project, they do propose the architecture review of the structure. It is a prefab metal building, kind of comprised of two different sections. One is where the office is, which is a little bit smaller, and does kind of feature a porch area around it. And then the larger portion being where the storage or the shop building area is. There is some color swatches up on the dais showing the colors proposed on it. So it's kind of an off-white color for the main color, and then a fern green as the contrasting color for the trim to kind of support the design that they are proposing. And then they do have other projecting elements over the windows and the porch, as I mentioned before, to help add a little bit more architecture detail for the site. And then as part of it, they are also proposing landscaping around the site as well to help shield the outdoor operations, including trees and other shrubbery. And then as part of the site design, they are having a fence that surrounds the site with a 2-to-1 landscape slope. So the fence will be raised up a little bit to help further conceal the storage operations, and then landscaping to complement that. So there'll be essentially a landscape buffer from all the street frontages to help better screen the site. And this is also a design that was carried over from the original 16032 CUP approval. With it, as part of the processing for this revision, no comments were received. As part of the CEQA exemption that was approved with the original approval was section 15332. And then the conditions of approval for this particular project align with those from the prior one. And then any changes are relevant to this particular project were then made. So it's very similar to what was originally approved back in 2017. Some site photos for our Plan Commission's reference. And then with that, staff does recommend approval of the project. I'm happy to answer any questions. The applicant's representative and the applicant is also here to help answer any questions on their business as well.
Okay, anyone have any questions for staff at this time?
I got one. What type of fence is it?
It's a tubular steel fence.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, would the applicant or the representative like to?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman Al Gower. How are you?
Fine, Dan. How you doing?
Fellow commissioners, thank you for allowing us to come and speak on behalf of the project. My name is Dan Haskins. I'm with Land Engineering Consultants. I'm a principal owner of that company. I'm here together with the owner, Jeannie Norman of Advantage Unlimited Paving Incorporated. She's, as Ben had so kindly mentioned, she's here also to answer any specific questions you may have from the ownership or the operation standpoint. First, we want to thank that we're not on a Zoom meeting tonight. It's very nice to be meeting in person. Thank you. We've been working with Ben for a little bit over a year on this project, and I think collectively we've come together and done a lot of intricate design changes, cleaning up of the original design that was approved back in 2016, and focused on the change from McFadden's development to what Jeannie has wanted to do with her paving company. So relatively, the projects are alike. But we have enhanced this design with additional landscaping features along the perimeter. This building offers a lot more design components that were related previously. So we like the advancement in the design is better than what was approved in 16. So with that, we've read through the conditions of approval. We're all in agreement with those conditions, just as we agreed to them with the previous project in 16. And we're certainly here to answer any questions that staff or the commission may have.
Any commissioners have any questions for the representative?
Starting with me? Okay.
Go for it.
Will they be working on any equipment inside that building?
Yes, it will be maintenance base. The 1,700 square feet will be dedicated to office staff. The owner will have an office and her office staff will be there. And the bays will have equipment in there stored and during maintenance periods. Currently, the temporary use permit has a maintenance bay on the south side of the property that they're operating under. And we were hoping to get things progressed a little bit sooner, but now that it's gonna be cold, the poor mechanics are gonna be a little chilly out there. So this approval will really help advancing the schedule to get all the documents. And thankfully, the staff has worked with us. We have signed improvement plans now, ready to construct. So with this approval, it really does give the applicant the green light to proceed ahead immediately with construction permits.
Are there any piles of material or anything like that being stored on site?
There is a
the paving
dedicated area.
material?
If you want to bring that map back up, Ben. Over on the southeast corner, at the base of the hill, kind of in that encased encampment there, we have 2 storage areas of materials, and sometimes she'll store materials like Class 2 base and things from jobs. They'll be stored overnight, grabbed, moved. Asphalt that will be hauled off to a site for a grinding facility. It's not meant to be a storage facility, much like the B&G grindings, up the street a little bit. That's not the intent of all for this project. She will have trucks that come and go and pick up materials at other facilities, distribute those to the project sites, and then the trucks will return here. So it'll be a very few times, during the month, I would say, that any facility would have to be temporarily dropped and then picked up in a short period of time.
Okay, looks nice.
Does that answer your question?
Does,
Okay.
thank you.
Is there disposal for, or like, hydraulic fluid and oil and all that kind of stuff that goes with heavy equipment? Is that process gonna be handled off-site where they come and pick it up and take it, or how will that be dealt with?
Standard maintenance facilities, most of that stuff is all self-contained now. From the washing of your hands, those are all in self-contained barrels where companies come and on a periodic basis will remove that. All hydraulic fluids, oils, and those will be stored in approved containers with spill containment. They all come, she will deal with a dealer that takes care of all that, and they'll do the deliveries and things back and forth.
Good.
But interior, the storage of the building, everything will meet fire department hazardous waste requirements. Exterior, there's a full trash enclosure that will have standard refuse, green waste, and dry waste recycles. So everything, and then I think the staff report mentioned that there's a portable fuel facility. She's got a number of vehicles, and so there will be on-site storage for diesel and gas, but it is all in a self-contained, spill-controlled facility that meets the state requirements. So everything on that angle has been set forth, and it is also in the conditions of approval that those items must be met for the approval.
Good.
Out of curiosity, what happened to the project that was approved in 2016?
The applicant, McFadden Properties, he was our client. He had an existing facility on Outer Highway 10 south of the freeway, and actually that was in the city of Redlands. And he just grew too big. He bought this property as an overflow project, and in thinking that that might sustain him for a period of time, he was looking in Yucaipa at other various properties. I know Ben and the previous planning director, Paul, was involved with trying to find a location for him, and he just struggled to find a location for his business. He's, the niche of this is it's sort of light industrial, and it's not wanted on Yucaipa Boulevard, even though they do have some light industrial type zoning. So this was really the only area adjacent to the freeway that really was focused by the city in the general plan. And so, but the parcels were only of a certain size. The parcel directly south of this is about 6 acres, but it's very problematic for development. It's got a lot of inlet storm drain, upstream tributary areas, a very deep difference in elevation from Calamasa Boulevard. It's got pole lines, utilities, water lines along the perimeter. So it became And it just wasn't cost effective. He had made offers on that property, but it was just too much money, couldn't cut to a deal. So he bought this and thinking that it might be enough to overflow, but he ended up going to Redlands. He just couldn't find anything here that would fit his needs. So he went to Redlands and was able to sell it to Jeannie, and so it's been working out well for her, so.
All right, well, we hope she stays here.
We do too. She's a really good gal.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
With that, any public comment?
No comment slips received on this particular project.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing and move to the commissioners. Any discussion or question from commissioners?
I will make a motion to approve case number 19-157, revision to previously approved case number 16-032 CUP conditional use permit, along with items A through D.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on our agenda would be case number 20-058, an SUP and architectural review.
Thank you, Chairman Al Gore. So this project is item number 5, and it's a special use permit and architectural review to permit an existing unpermitted metal storage structure type garage located on a single-family residential property at 35589 Oleander Avenue. It is located on the south side of Oleander Drive, west of Fremont Street, and the property is zoned RS 20M, so the minimum lot size is 2,000 square feet in this area, and the parcel that the structure is located on is 1.27 acres in size. South of, within the parcel, there's actually a drainage easement at the rear of the property behind the existing unpermitted metal structure that should also be pointed out. Here is the site plan. There's an existing 2,578 square foot single family residence. And as I mentioned, the 2,440 square foot unpermitted metal garage, which has 3 entrances on the eastern side of the structure. One is a 10 by 14 entrance, and the other 2 are 12 by 14. The structure fits within all required setbacks from the south front and side property lines. These are the elevations, and the ones included in the Planning Commission packets actually are colored and indicate the light gray main steel structure colorations along all elevations, and then the dark gray color, which is made up of the downspouts and gutters. The height of the structure is 19 feet tall, and there's also 6-foot purlin extensions with soffits on the north side of the structure. That serves as somewhat of a shaded canopy area and softens the look of the metal structure itself so it more closely resembles the existing home. Here's some photos of the existing single-family residence. And just some prior code history similar to the previous approved SUP. This came to the attention of the planning department through a code enforcement case. There was a violation for illegal grading in the drainage easement that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. And through that, the planning department recognized the existing unpermitted metal storage structure, and the applicant then went forward in filing an SUP to get that permitted, and is currently working with the city and code enforcement to return the drainage area back to its natural state. And our conditions of approval that we have attached in the packet note that the applicant shall not disturb or grade outside of the building footprint or within the drainage easement. No public comments were received for this project, and staff recommends approval of the project. And I believe the applicant is here if you have any questions for him.
Anybody have, any commissioners have questions for staff at this time? I have one. Was this code enforcement issue started, or?
Yes, so the code enforcement issue to begin with was because of the illegal grading, and then when that was brought to the attention of the city, then we recognized the metal structure on the site and worked with the applicant to get them started on the process for an SUP approval for the unconventional building material of their structure.
Thank you. Anyone have a question for staff at this time?
Chair, I have a question. Does the fire department have to approve of this?
They have put conditions on the project, and the conditions of approval. So this project was routed to them and they would have approved the project, yes.
Okay. So the fire department, they have approved of the project.
The fire marshal did review the project and the conditions, and so they are provided, so when they go through the final building permit process, they'll ensure compliance with it. So one of it, there's a fire hydrant at the corner of the property, and so then as part of their building permit process, they would provide the fire flow to show that it meets that requirement so that it can be signed off.
Okay. Would the applicant like to make a presentation or speak?
Is this live? Yeah, this is live. My name's Kevin Sarton, and me and my wife are the owners of 35589 Oleander Avenue. Thank you to City of Yucaipa staff for actually getting us in this meeting so we can hopefully push forward. Really, we've been working with planning and engineering to make sure the site plan is correct, to obviously get it into this meeting. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have to hopefully get approval and make sure everything is up to code and get this behind us.
What was the main purpose for the building? Just for personal storage or?
Correct, yeah, RV storage and some of my kids' dirt bikes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioners, have any questions for the applicant?
It looked like do you have heavy semis in the back there? That's what it looked like when I went by. And I was wondering, do you do maintenance on them or?
No, I do have my commercial driver's license, and I do have a couple semis where I haul bees.
Oh.
Yeah, so and so sometimes I do have property out in San Mateo Canyon where I keep a lot of my trailers and the semi that I have, but I do time to time put it in my yard as well.
So then the access to that property in the back, I mean, and it's really nice, the way you've got the home and everything across the front, it completely covers.
Yeah, you can't see that building at
Can't
all.
really see, but I stopped and really looked, and I could, now, so then you access the property from Oleander?
Correct, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I will, there's concrete that goes almost all the way back
East side there?
on the, of Oleander, well,
On the east side of your property?
correct, yeah. I guess if you were facing my house on the left side.
On the left side, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
And you back in?
Back in, or I can actually turn around back
You
there
have
as
enough
well.
room to turn around? Oh,
Yeah, and that'll help fire,
yeah.
that'll make fire happy, I guess.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And there's no public comment?
No public comment slips were received on this particular item.
Okay, so with that, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move to the commissioners. Anyone have any comments, questions, motions?
I'll make a motion that we approve case number 20-058 for an SUP. And hopefully we get that drainage back in order and he gets to enjoy his nice toys in the storage.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries.
It looks really nice. Thank you.
It's very nice. Oh, yeah.
Very nice, yeah, very nice.
And it's
Okay.
well covered from Oleander. You really have to look.
Oh, you gotta look hard.
Let's don't do anything without a permit again.
Let us know if you want us to come evaluate your dirt bikes and RV and all that.
Okay, Ben, with that, do we have any notices or any comments or any instructions for us?
So there will be no planning commission meeting on December 2nd. However, we will likely have a planning commission meeting on the 16th. So we'll end off the year with probably one more meeting.
All right. Well, this was really nice. It does make me happy to see everyone here, and I hope everyone stays safe until we get to see each other in December. Don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I guess. But this is
Are you
Yucaipa.
kidding me?
This is Yucaipa. I'm kidding. This is
Better be
Yucaipa.
kidding.
So go all out, man.
Remember, you can only have 30 people in your house.
We're proclaiming a funeral at our house, and the turkey is the victim. And we're gonna-
I heard about that. We're
Okay,
Armenian,
with
we're
that,
exempt.
the meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Right, yeah. Call the protest.
Yeah, call it, yeah.
Thank you.